taking credit when the stats look good and placing blame when they don't. This is what governments are doing lately. And I'm seeing the provincial government establishing a very clear behavioral trend, which is to do just that. It's to shift blame and shift responsibility onto other levels of government whenever things go wrong. Well, you know, that's not how you improve. First place I think that the Premier needs to look is in the mirror. The year my father passed away, we had, my mother was a widow, living alone, without her family or her partner. And she was a victim of crime 3 times within 6 months after Dad passed. She didn't deserve that. Worked her whole life. Taught kids her whole life. When it strikes you as a person, in your family, personally, you suddenly begin to understand how sad it is that a person like that, made to feel vulnerable by the circumstances her life threw at her, has that vulnerability magnified so much, you know. I have to admit, I'm a little bit ashamed to admit, I wasn't as cognizant of how dramatic an effect that can have on a person until it happened to my mom. I don't want it to happen to other people's moms, right? It's too important. People deserve to feel protected in their own homes. People deserve to feel safe. It's not my intention, and my intention would be to get our expenditures under control. I don't see it as realistic to suggest that we should try to be the lowest tax jurisdiction in Canada. The hole is too big. The NDP has dug an enormous hole. Many people understand it in their own home or their own small business. They know they can't borrow excessively because they have to service that debt. But they also know that interest rates are pretty low right now. So we've got a lot of folks really leveraged. Okay. Well, that's fine. I mean, we make that choice as consumers, people in our own homes, people with our own businesses, that's our money. But when the government does that, they're compounding the risk to us. They're compounding the risk to our families. And that's what the NDP's done. Very few people project interest rates to lower much more than they are right now. They're at historic lows. So the question becomes, what happens when interest rates begin to rise? What happens to us as people who depend on these services, education, health care? How about some roads? How about some bridges? What happens? $500 million would be the additional debt service charges on just 1% increase in interest rates. $500 million that isn't going to be available for the things that we value. That's a major, major additional expense. There is right now a gathering storm fiscally. Is fabulous too strong a word? I think I'd be a very good premier. I think I have the enthusiasm for the job, and I have, I guess, paid my dues. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I know the vagaries of public life very well. I can laugh at negative media coverage, which very few politicians can. I'd prefer, of course, not to have to laugh at it, but I can do that.